Okay, agenda item of the Elevator and Electrical Board meeting, 1A, call to order. I, Chair Thomas Kyle, call a hybrid electrical and elevator board meeting of January 26, 2023 to order at 9:30 a.m. Debbie, would you call a roll?
Yes, sir. Chair Thomas Kyle, present in the room.
Yes.
Thank you. Also present in the room, Vice Chair John Flagel.
Yes.
William Barlow is virtual. William Barlow.
Here.
Thank you. Amy Byer.
Here.
Elizabeth Bunga is excused. Sarah Curry, virtual. Sarah Curry. We'll come back to Sarah. The next three members are also virtual. Brian Ledoux.
Here.
Robert Lazar Alaire.
Perfect. Here.
Thank you. Rob McNeil.
I'm here via phone. I'll be trying to get on. I'm having some internet problems.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep checking on you. Ryan Richard is present in the room. Ryan?
Here.
Thank you. Al Schacher is virtual.
Present in the room. Here.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. And Ken Spencer is also present in the room. Ken?
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
Debbie, this is Richard Rutter. You didn't call my
Oh,
name.
thank you, Richard. I do see you logged in now. Thank you. And Richard Rutter.
Is here.
Thank you.
Chair Kyle rule the draft minutes of November 17th, 2022 are final. Agenda item 1E. The date of the next meeting is March 23rd, 2023. Agenda item 1 or 2 is, are there any public comments? Ian, have you anybody listed?
Thank you, Chair Kyle. Ian Paik, analyst with the division. We did not receive any requests for general public comment. However, I would like to leave a moment just in case there's anyone in the Zoom that would like to provide the board with general public comment. Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes general public comment.
Thank you. Agenda item 3.A. This is 8 proposed consent orders.
There might be one. Todd's gonna hop in.
Sorry. Oh, excuse me, Todd. Introducing new staff.
I am happy to do so. Good morning, Chair Kyle, members of the board, Todd Smith, Policy and Technical Services Manager for the division. I have a couple of staff updates for you today. As you've noticed, we have a new analyst for the board, but not necessarily for the division, Ian Paik. That goes along with a new policy analyst we do have the division, Pierre Sabah, who you may see on some other boards and around. We also have a new contested case representative, Emily Roque, who comes to us from the Department of Ag, where she was part of the enforcement team. To answer any other questions on staffing at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to announce Sarah Curry has logged in. Sarah, are you here?
I am here. Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now agenda item 3A. Michael Regina Hamilton, contested rape case representative.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. For the record, my name is Michael Myra Hamilton, contested case representative. For the board is a summary of the consent orders recently negotiated by the division on behalf of the board. We've entered into consent agreements in 8 cases since our last board meeting. All settlements, including the amount owed and suspended civil penalties, fall within the guidelines on the matrix, and they contain the standard conditions. The first case on the agenda is C 2021-34, Robin Beth McFowle. The respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $6,000 for installing electrical wiring from the electrical meter to the electrical panel, a new expansion joint, and a grounding rod without an electrical contractor's license, acting outside the scope of his journeyman license by working without a supervising electrician, and for failing to obtain a permit. Respondent has agreed to pay $1,000 with the remaining $5,000 suspended. Second case on the agenda is C 2021-72, Robert Rourke. The respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $6,000 for installing electrical wire and electrical boxes for lighting without an electrical contractor's license, journeyman license, and a permit. Respondent has agreed to pay $750 with the remaining $5,250 suspended. The third case on the agenda is C 2021-77, Bobby Rourke Electrical and Solar. The respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $2,000 for allowing an individual to install electrical wire and electrical boxes for lighting without a license. Respondent has agreed to pay $250 with the remaining $1,750 suspended. The fourth case on the agenda is C 2021-104, Patrick Buhold. Respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $2,000 for installing an electrical panel without a supervising electrician license, journeyman electrician license, or limited residential electrician license. Respondent has agreed to pay $250 in this case with the remaining suspended. The fifth case on the agenda is C 2022-30, Rick's Custom Fencing. Respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $6,000 for installing electrical wiring, sew cabling, gate motors, and electrical wiring to two electronic eyes without an electrical contractor's license, for allowing unlicensed electrical work, and for failing to obtain a permit. Respondent has agreed to pay $1,750 with the remaining $4,250 suspended. The sixth case on the agenda is C 2022-49, Ilya Tarakin. The respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $6,000 for installing electrical wall switches, canister lights, and low voltage wiring without an electrical contractor's license, failing to do so under the supervision or control of a supervising electrician license, or a supervising electrician, and without a permit. Respondent has agreed to pay $1,250 with the remaining $4,750 suspended. Seventh case on the agenda is C 2022-115, Brian Yost. The respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $4,000 for installing sheathed electrical cabling, electrical outlet boxes, and low voltage electrical wiring without a supervising electrician license, journeyman electrician license, or limited residential electrician license, and for allowing unlicensed work. The respondent has agreed to pay $500 with the remaining $3,500 suspended. The eighth case on the agenda is C 2022-116, Daniel Marr. The respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $6,000 for permitting either by assent or failure to prevent individuals from performing electrical installations for which they were not properly licensed. Respondent has agreed to pay $1,000 with the remaining $5,000 suspended. I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
I guess I'd like to ask is Robert Rourke and Bobby Rourke, are they the same person?
I believe so, yeah.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I know it makes for a big packet, but I know it helps to understand the enforcement cases, and so I appreciate all the backup paperwork and all those.
Absolutely.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt these enforcement cases, or the consent orders, as recommended.
Okay. A motion's been made to adopt the consent orders as presented. Debbie, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. William Barlow,
Aye.
Amy Byer,
Aye.
Sarah Curry,
Aye.
Brian Ledoux,
Aye.
Robert Lazar-Alaire,
Aye.
Ryan Richards,
Aye.
Richard Rudder,
Aye.
Al Schacher,
Aye.
Ken Spencer,
Aye.
Vice Chair John Flagel,
Aye.
and Chair Thomas Kyle.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 3B, summary of four enforcement cases. Michael?
Thank you. So these are our default orders. The first default on the agenda is C 2020-0007, Bruce Richard Liaby. The respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $18,000. His supervising electrician license has been revoked, and he's disqualified from obtaining an Oregon electrical license for 5 years for performing electrical installations and improperly obtaining permits, which resulted in penalties for procuring and assisting unlicensed individuals to perform electrical installations, providing false and incorrect information to obtain permits, and performing electrical installations without a electrical contractor's license, and acting outside the scope of his signing supervisor license. The second default on the agenda is C 2021-152. The respondent in this case is assessed a penalty of $5,000, and its previous penalty of $1,250 was also reinstated, totaling $6,250 for performing electrical violations that resulted in penalties for allowing unlicensed individuals to perform electrical installations and for failing to have a continuously employed signing supervisor. The third default on the agenda is C 2021-155, Eugene Volsevich. The respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $5,000, and his previous penalty of $1,250 was reinstated, totaling $6,250 for performing electrical installations that resulted in penalties for allowing unlicensed individuals to perform electrical installations. The fourth default on the agenda is C 2021-219, Jeffrey Douglas Woodhouse. The respondent in this case was assessed a penalty of $3,000 for engaging in the business of an electrical contractor without an electrical contractor's license. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any. No, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Okay, item 3C, electrical program update, Keith Anderson.
Good morning, Keith Anderson, Electrical Program Chief for the next 35 days. Happy to be here today. It's nice to see everybody. I apologize I couldn't be there in person. I think this is the first meeting in 8 years that I haven't been there in person. But the good news I have today is the Code Committee has completed their review. There were a lot of delays with that. The materials were late, the code books were out late, and it went very well, and I believe we ended up with a good, clear product for the next cycle. So I just want to thank Laura Burns for all her efforts with that. I assume that we will have that, where we're planning on having that for you in the next meeting in March. So, and I do plan on attending that meeting either virtually or in person. So that's all I had for you today. If you had any questions.
Any questions from the board? All right, thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Appreciate you're still here.
Yes, glad to be here.
Okay, on the agenda is item 3D for elevator board, but Warren Harding is not available, so we will skip that and go to 4A. I guess some of the orders from the governor. Bud Smith?
Yeah, Todd Smith, Policy and Technical Services Manager for the division. We just wanted to add these items as some communications for the board. As you're probably aware, the governor issued 3 executive orders as soon as she got into office relating to homelessness. There's nothing in those, excuse me, there's nothing in those executive orders directly impacting your board at the moment, but we just want to make you aware of them. There are some directives to the agency to prioritize affordable housing and homelessness issues in our decision-making, as well as will be serving in the support role on the Housing Council that she's created. But I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have any, the executive orders themselves are in your packet.
Okay. I guess that's, thank you. I guess nobody's asking that. Item 4B, prioritize reducing homelessness.
Yes, Chair Kyle, I tried to cover all 3 of them. The 4B is the one that directs our decision-making to consider the homelessness issues and affordability in our agency actions. And then 4C is the one that talks about the establishment of the council itself.
Okay, and then 4D, statewide mechanical locking brake for elevators.
Yeah, this is a statewide code interp that our our elevator chief sent out on mechanical locking brake requirements. The interpretation is in your packet. If you have specific questions, I would probably want to defer until Warren is available to actually answer the technical issues on the elevators. But I think it's actually relatively straightforward if you read it.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Agenda item 5, no appeals. Agenda item 6, no unfinished business. Agenda item 7A, approve committee recommendations for new continuing education courses and instructor applications. Ian?
Thank you, Chair Kyle. Ian Paik, analyst with the division. This continuing education cycle, the committee evaluated 29 applications from 9 organizations. Ultimately, the CE committee recommends 24 courses for approval and 5 instructors for approval. This agenda item will require a motion to approve or disapprove the committee's recommendations. Examples of motions are outlined in your agenda packet. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to approve the committee's recommendations for approval or denial of the courses or instructors.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion on the floor to approve the committee's recommendations. Debbie, would you call a roll?
Yes, sir. William Barlow.
Aye.
Thank you. Amy Byer.
Aye.
Sarah Curry.
Aye.
Brian Ledoux.
Aye.
Robert Lazaralier. Please don't make me say it again.
Aye.
Thank you. Robert McNeil.
Aye.
Ryan Richards.
Aye.
Richard Rutter.
Aye.
Al Schacher.
Aye.
Ken Spencer.
Aye.
Vice Chair John Flagel.
Aye.
Chair Thomas Kyle.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Agenda item 7B, request from Caleb Lowe for renewal extension under hardship illness waiver. Ian?
Thank you, Chair Kyle. Ian Paik, analyst with the division. This agenda item is a request from Caleb Lowell for a renewal extension under the hardship illness waiver. Mr. Lowe's request letter, license number, and CE credits are included in your agenda packet. This agenda item will require a motion to approve or disapprove Mr. Lowe's request, examples of which are in your agenda packet. Mr. Lowe, are you here, and would you like to speak on this agenda item?
I am here. My only speak is my apologies for not being more on top of my expiration date, and I appreciate your guys taking the time to look over my letter and consider my motion.
Okay, I guess in reviewing it, we noticed that you've didn't start taking your continuing ed till after it was expired in October. And generally, we don't normally approve this, but I guess I'll let the board make the motion.
I also, through the chair, I'd also like to point out that from my understanding, your license goes into revoked status, and so then you're not eligible to work during that time for the whole year.
That is correct, but I have been working out of state as a project manager for a solar company, so I wasn't utilizing my license during that period.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to disapprove the request for renewal extension of the hardship and illness.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion on the floor to I guess, disapprove the request. Debbie, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. William Barlow,
Aye.
Amy Byer.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Yes,
That
you may.
permissible? Has it been confirmed, Mr. Lowe has not had any previous incidents with the board?
Yes, that's you.
As stated in his letter.
We believe that's correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I should have allowed a discussion before we started the vote, but. Any other questions from anyone?
Also, for the record, Mr. Chair, could I get a reason for the denial?
Under my motion, I believe you've had ample time for to get all your hours in and paid, and I believe that we would just kind of open up a floodgate of license holders asking for extensions, and to be fair for the rest of the license holders within the state, I would like to deny this motion, or excuse me, deny his request.
I'll continue on with the roll call. Amy Byer,
Denied.
Sarah Curry,
Aye.
Brian Ledoux,
Aye.
Robert Lazarler,
Aye.
Robert McNeil,
Aye.
Ryan Richards,
Aye.
Richard Rudder,
Aye.
Al Schacher,
Aye.
Ken Spencer,
Aye.
Vice Chair John Flagel,
Aye.
Chair Thomas Kyle.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Right. Sorry, Mr. Lowe. Agenda item 7C, retroactive approval of request for credits to participants of electrical vehicle infrastructure training program from Pacific Inside Electrical JATC. Ryan?
Thank you, Chair Kyle. Ian Paik, analyst with the division. This agenda item is a retroactive approval request for credits to participants of electrical vehicle infrastructure training program from Pacific Inside Electrical JATC. The request is for 2 hours of retroactive code-related continuing education credit. The timeline and participants are detailed in the letter in your agenda packets. This item will require a motion to approve or disapprove the request, and examples of such motions are outlined in your agenda packet. Is there anyone from Pacific Inside Electrical that would like to speak on this agenda item?
So just to clarify, I understand the course was approved prior to being given? The course materials, or?
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
Course materials were approved, yet this was a pilot program for this course. Is that something the board typically grants CE credit for when it's basically a test session? Does anybody know?
It appears like they tested it in September and then we approved it in November at the electrical and elevator board meeting. So the course was done before we approved it.
That is correct.
Through the chair,
Yes, please.
Keith Anderson, Electrical Program Chief. Yes, it's not uncommon for a class to be approved after the class has been taught for the first time, due to scheduling of the board meetings and that sort of thing. So it's not an uncommon request.
Mr. Chair, this is Brian Ledoux. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Based on the content of this training applicable to electric vehicles, would the board typically approve similar training if it were for marine vessels?
Keith, maybe you could answer that?
Yes, through the chair. Our code doesn't regulate marine vessels. It's outside of our scope. So it would probably not. It may, if the committee chose to approve it, for extra, code related, they may choose to do that. But I know that it's normally outside of our scope, building code scope.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. So based on that response, what is the difference between the electric vehicle and marine, training or, certifications when it compared to commercial and household industrial electricity?
Well, the difference between the marine electrical is it's specifically exempted in the NEC. So again, it's not part of our purview to regulate that. Where the EV and that, the normal EV and that is what we regulate, and it is part of our industry.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I believe that this training was for installing the receptacle that you plug into the car. And if it was a receptacle you plugged into a marine facility, it would be under our code. Correct, Keith?
Yes, it would. If it's not, yes. If it was just part of the marina or something like that, then it would be under our code.
Okay, well, this requires a motion if somebody would like to care to make one.
Chair Kyle, I move that we accept this retroactive training for these individuals.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Right, hearing done. Debbie, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. William Barlow,
Aye.
Amy Byer,
Aye.
Sarah Curry,
Aye.
Brian Ledoux,
Aye.
Robert Lazarler,
Aye.
Robert McNeil,
Aye.
Ryan Richards,
Aye.
Richard Rudder,
Aye.
Al Schacher,
Aye.
Ken Spencer,
Aye.
Vice Chair John Flagel,
Aye.
and Chair Thomas Kyle.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, agenda item 8. I guess this is the time for board members to make announcements or questions. And I guess for my part, I'd like to thank the Code Committee. I see that they've been putting a lot of time in and effort in getting this, and I look forward to seeing the recommendations at the next meeting. Anyone else? Thank you. Item 9 is adjournment. There being no further business of the January 26, 2023 Electrical and Elevator Board meeting, the meeting is adjourned at 9:59. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.